find refuge, find strength, and find peace. Bethesda Temple, the home of grace.
If you're loving the Lord with all of your soul, then and only then can you say that you're sold out.
Maybe it's just the cynical side of me, but I believe that this rich young ruler was offering a large financial gift, not a bribe, for a place, for room in heaven. But there was something else about this question that caught me. Remember it. Good master, what good thing shall I do that I may have eternal life? The latter clause concerns me, that I may have eternal life. He looked at eternal life in the same way as he looked at one of his possessions. When he said that I might have eternal life, the word have is translated by the Greek word echo, which means to hold, to possess. This man wanted, it seems, to possess, to acquire eternal life as one acquires a house or a car or something similar. But what he needed to understand, and what we need to understand, is that eternal life is not a possession to be had, but rather a blessing to be entered into. Well, Jesus brought things into perspective. He said to him, if thou wilt enter into life, keep the commandments. The young man then asked, okay, which ones? To which Jesus replied, thou shalt do no murder, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, honor thy father and thy mother, and thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I wonder if you noticed that none of these commandments have anything at all to do with one's relationship to and with God. The young ruler replied to Jesus' explanation, I have kept all these commandments since I was a kid. So what am I lacking? That is literally, where am I deficient? Where am I falling short? He had to be feeling something. Maybe it was when he saw Jesus, he saw something different about him. But he knew that he didn't have everything that he needed. As much money, as much goods as he had, he kind of knew that he wasn't all that. So he says, where am I lacking? I keep these commandments, so where am I lacking? Now, if one is lacking something, that means, or it goes almost without saying, that they are incomplete. Would you go with me on that? Would you agree with me? If you're lacking something, you are not complete, because that lack demands more attention than everything else you have. You don't concentrate. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Especially when there's something that you want. Something that you really, really want. Our attention is more on what we want than on what we have. And that kind of makes it hard to be grateful because we're not focusing on what God has already done. We want him to do something more. Oh, I'm getting off point. But maybe somebody needed to hear that. It is obvious with all that this young man possessed and with all that he had attained, he knew that he was missing something. He wasn't satisfied with where he was. And he wasn't satisfied with where he was headed. So he says to Jesus, okay, I do all of these things that you tell me. What am I missing? Where am I lacking? Where have I faltered? Where have I fallen short? Where have I failed? And Jesus told him, if you want to be perfect, teleos, complete. If you want to be complete, if you want to find fulfillment, sell what you have and give the proceeds to the poor. And then you will acquire for yourself treasure in heaven. And then after that, come and follow me. Because you can't call the shots anymore. And maybe that's the problem with some of us. Maybe that's why some of us are not sold out. Because we understand when we become truly sold out to God, we will no longer be calling the shots in our lives. We will no longer be our own boss. Oh, it's kind of rough in here. And see, I'm talking to all ages now because we have headstrong folk in every age group. You can't tell me what to do. And to those who have attained the magic number, we will say, I'm 3 times 7 plus. I do what I want. God said, not over here. You do what I say. When the rich young ruler heard what Jesus said, Matthew says of him that he went away sorrowful. The rich young ruler was distressed. He was sad. The rich young ruler was grieved. He was grieved because he had many possessions, things that he didn't want to get rid of. The young man's things were dear to him, too precious to peddle. And therein was his problem. His possessions were more important to him than his relationship with God. Matthew said that the young man had great possessions. It seems to me that his possessions had him as much as he had them. He was possessed by his possessions. He was owned by his stuff. The man had a habit. I gotta have it habit. And he was sold out to his habit, sold out to his possessions, sold out to his things. Look at your neighbor and just ask him, what are you sold out to?